Jennifer. I know she has a whole load of good stuff about statements of purpose, and I want you to chime in and tell us. So, what should we look out for when someone is writing their statement of purpose? One, of course, generally for your program specifically, and even generally for an Erasmus statement of purpose. What is some of the things that they have to be there, and they have to look out for?
Okay. This is this is it's great to always talk about statement of purpose because I most of the time just keep talking about it and all that, but it's it's for some programs they place a huge emphasis on your statement of purpose. It's a big deal. They allocate some points and all that, maybe 30 marks. I think mine was 30 marks for my statement of purpose. The marks allocated for statement of purpose, my program, I think it was 30 marks. So if I think the first thing is you should have an outline of how you want your statement of purpose to flow. You should have an outline of how you want it to flow. So in your first paragraph, you can't talk about just in your first paragraph, you've talked about the undergraduates that you went to, you have talked about your job experience, you have talked about this, just mashing them together. No, you need to have a kind of a flow to it. What do you want your first paragraph to talk about? What do you want your second paragraph to talk about? The third paragraph, what do you want it to talk about? So, depending on your word count, you have to make a list of the different things that you want contained in your SOP and their different paragraphs. Now, depending on the word count, you should now allocate points to these different paragraphs in order to see that they fit into the word count and all that. So for me, I think my first paragraph was basically about motivation, basically about motivation for applying. And then I think my second paragraph was about my educational background and how it fits in. I think my third paragraph was about my experience and how it suits to it, my professional experience. And the final one was I think the final one was basically making a just giving a punchline on why out of all the people in this world that applied to why they should choose Jennifer. I think that was what it was all about. So basically, my program is the largest Erasmus course, and we're at the moment we're 84 or so, and the set after us, I think they're close to maybe 100 and something. I don't know. So each year it keeps increasing, and we are the largest Erasmus program. And out of that, the largest Erasmus, there are about just 23 that are funded. So imagine the rest are self-funding. So imagine the number of people that might have applied to even get the scholarship but didn't get in and all that. So I had to, it's important to, strategize. So for me, I knew that the program gave different, what's it called, different allocation of points of what would qualify me. And I was ticking the box in all of them. And then I knew that my statement of purpose was standing out, and it was a huge chunk of 30 marks. And I think that was the highest. And I told myself, this is where I need to score the goal, because I possibly was not the only first class. Most of my colleagues are first class. I'm possibly not the only one. I'm possibly not the only one with maybe a relevant experience. I'm possibly not the only one from Africa. I know some of the people said that applied from Nigeria even messaged me and said, so you're the person that got in and all that. So I was possibly not the only one from Nigeria. So they had a lot of people that applied from Nigeria. So I had to strategize. Now, it's always important that when someone is reading your SOP, you don't confuse the person. Your statements, what my uncle then told me is, don't give, I know in Nigeria, in Africa, we like talking long something without stopping. So he did this, and she also did this, and again, she did this also in the same sentence. So, like, some of the times we tend to write how we speak, because that's how we speak. So we tend to kind of write the way we speak. And if I'm the one reading it, I would understand what you're writing, because I also speak that way. But now I'm not a person from Nigeria or from Africa that is reading it. So I had to think the way they do. And Mango told me one thing is they like short statements. Just go to the point, make that sentence you're making, make it short. They know that it has ended there. This is the sentence. Then you start another one. Whatever you have to write, don't make it too long, because if I write the way I speak, I will make it so long, maybe 4 lines. I'm still saying the same thing. And so I knew that the first point is your sentences should always be, short and straight to the point, your sentences. So after, you've allocated the different marks, you know what you're going to put: first paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph. Always make sure that your sentences are straight to the point. Don't make it too long, straight to the point, so that when the person reads it, you don't confuse the person. The person reads it, understands it, that's fine. And then the next thing you have to consider is how to put these things. And you have a lot of things you want to put in your paragraph one, your motivation, but what is the most relevant? How can you shorten it to fit into the word count? What is the most relevant? You can't put everything. Like for me, who studied international relations and strategic studies, in the paragraph that was to talk about my academic experiences, I was supposed to, talk about my program, the courses that I did, and all that and all that. But then I did a whole lot. I'm coming from international relations, so I did a whole lot of courses that are related to security, peace building, African studies, this, a whole lot of it. But I had to pick the most relevant, because I can't put all of them. I picked the most relevant. So I looked at the courses that IMSIS was to do first year, second year. I looked at all the courses, and so I went back to my transcript and I picked the most relevant. And I think I picked like Z4 or so, 3 or 4. And some courses can have a really long name. Please shorten it. So I had to pick those most relevant ones, because all the courses that I did were relevant, but I had to pick the most relevant ones. And those were the ones that I had to point out at. And I said, okay, as an undergraduate, these were some of the courses that I did, and they are relevant in taking these other courses, because they're more like a background. So I showed a link to how some of the courses that I did in undergraduate was a background to what I would do if I eventually get in. So I showed that link. I also talked about, what I'm bringing to the table. I had to make it seem like, because me, I have skills, I can do plenty things there. So I'm not just coming to collect. I'm also coming to come and do other things there for you. Because as I then, during my undergraduate, I served as president of our student association. And aside that, I've organized dinners, events, and all that. So, and I looked at the IMSIS, this thing. They usually have, dinners and some other events, them, physical events, them, that they usually have. And so I had to make a point, and I'm like, during my undergraduate, blah, 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 as the vice president, so I did this, I organized, and I think my organizational skills and this would be relevant when you people are organizing dinners, and do you grab? So it's not like I'm coming to take. I have to also show them that I'm bringing something to this table. I'm bringing something to it. So I'm also coming to come and contribute and all that. So I had to show them these different things. So basically, there are specific questions. This one now, I just told you my own personal, what I did now, but there's a standard, what I would like to call a standard questions you should answer when writing your personal statement. And the first one is, what is your main motivation for applying? Your main motivation for applying. You need to state it. You can't just say, it's something you need to find from yourself that would be unique. You can't be writing random statement like it will be a stepping stone to my future. That's a statement that will be used by everybody around the world. Do you grab? Or you come and say, Nigeria has the highest rate of insecurity or whatever. Like, it does not really, like, they want to, there's something, your motivation is usually something unique to you. The propelling force is something so someone cannot really tell you, a different person cannot really tell you what your motivation is. It's something you need to figure out by yourself. So the standard, like what I said, there are standard questions them. And the first one is, what is your motivation for applying? The second one is, how will your educational background or work experience inform your engagement with this program? So do you see where I talked about my experience, not just as a student, but also my experience in a leadership position? So now they're asking you your engagement with the program. Your engagement with the program is not just academics. So now, from me having a first class and me studying some of those relevant courses, then it has already told them, I already mentioned it in my statement of purpose. So it has already told them that I would engage well in academics. Now, there is a different part to Erasmus, because if you look at it, Erasmus, the first, what I would like to always say is that the first part of Erasmus is the mobility, is the social connections and all that, even before the academics. That's what I like to say myself. So for me, mentioning that, having a first class, studying these different courses, have attended to how I will engage with the program academically. But now I also wanted to, because a lot of people will talk about that, but I wanted to also talk about the other part of it, which is the social mobility, engagements, and all that. And that was where I brought in my skills as a student, what I did, like, my organizational skills. I talked about what I did even when I became president of our student association. I talked about what I did. And so looking at those my organizational skills, what I did as a vice president, organizing a massive event for, how Nigerian schools and all that, we are a lot, and then organizing and some other impacts I made as the president. When I eventually became president, I had to show how those skills would be relevant in IMSIS events, because they were, apart from this COVID and all that, they were actually set out to organize, massive events, because they're always having events. They will go to the military this for these places. They will have dinner. They will have this and all that. So actually showed how I've already had experience in organization, so it would be really relevant. And so I brought it. So that would basically, so for me now, answering how will your educational background or work experience inform your engagement with the program? So I answered both the educational background and I answered the work experience also. And so my work experience is not just professional work. Me as president and vice president is work experience. It is work experience because I did work. So it was my work experience also. And so I had to also bring that to show. And also me too, building an organization. It was a startup. It also showed how, leadership skills, coordination, and all that. Then the third question you would always need to answer is, how will this program support your future career development? Please don't go and say it's a stepping stone. It's a stepping stone. Wait, it's a stepping, because I've read some statements and I'm like, okay, so people are still using this word. It's a stepping stone to change the course of my life and things. Like, no, you need to be smarter than that, because you're not the only person that will write is a stepping stone. So when they see another stepping stone next, another stepping stone next, because no reviewer want to be reading is a stepping stone and all that. So basically you have to show it, and that is by me. I talked about my future career plans. I was looking at the mediation, like I told you already, in professional aspect of it, I'm into peace building and all of that. Okay, so I think my battery is low. Anyways, I will still be talking while I'm going to charge it, but I think I'll just move to a different part of my room, but no problem. So sorry. Okay,
This time, no worries. No worries at all.
okay, so I just charged it now. So for the future career plans, I had to, talk about my career. It has to be a link. A link needs to be drawn. Previously, they've seen what I was doing. I was building a startup organization on peace and young people, equipping young people. And so I had to talk about how I'm really interested in the area of mediation as a young African woman. And when you look at the area of mediation and all that, you see there is really a gap in that area in terms of women involvement and all that. And I was already doing something in that area. And so there's a link, what I was doing before and what I intend to continue to do, which is still what I continue to intend to do. So what in terms of academics, I have a focus on, security. In terms of professional aspect of it, work, I have a focus on, mediation and diplomacy and all that. So I I had to show that they saw the link. So it's not like, maybe, how do I even put it? Maybe let's just say maybe I wasn't even doing anything let's say I was working in a bank, and previously I've been doing security in terms of banking and all that. And then all of a sudden, I want to totally now move to mediation. That's my future plan. And my background has always been this and all that. If I don't give a good reason why I'm having that sharp move, it becomes a problem. There's a disconnection. It's just like somebody now coming from, let's say the person wants to study African studies and your background is engineering. Before you could get in, it will be difficult to get, but then if you're even getting in, you need to explain why. Why are you making that sharp move? So that is the thing. So for me, there was already a line. So now, if maybe I was coming from the area of banking, securities, and all that, securities in terms of bank, and now I want to move to diplomacy, I can't just write that my future plan is to become a diplomat. It really does not, there's no correlation. Yeah. So if I am moving, if I'm having that sharp move, then I have to give a good reason. There needs to be a good reason. So that's where you now need to back it up. So what is basically how would this program support your future career development and all that? So I had to show that how previously I've been working in the area of peace, how I'll be taking certain courses. Then I talked about taking politics of the UN course, and interestingly, I took that course and I made an A1 highest. Like, I was really interested in that course, and yes, and well, that was a different conversation altogether. But we're talking about permanent seats for Africa in the UN Security Council and all that. So, anyways, that's a different conversation. But yeah, you need to talk about how your how do I put it? What you were doing before. Then you talk about the course, how it flows into the course, and how it flows into your future plans. So for me, that was already there, and I just drew the line across and showed it. So, and then this means that if you're responding to these three questions that I just talked about, this means that you need to give strong reasons why you want to study this program at the various institutions. These for you to answer these questions them at the various institutions. Them. Do you know, interestingly, like I had to look for certain things myself in these different universities to have a pointer at. So for the University of Glasgow, since I was focused on, young people and peace and security, I found that the University of Glasgow had a platform they called World Changers. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. And it gives emphasis to young students, I think mostly young students, to mentor them and give them a platform for them to grow their network and everything. And so I capitalized on that. I said, as I'm building this my organization and all that, this organization, the what's it called, World Changers platform would be really good, because they would give you mentorship and show you some other give you some other guidance on how to go about your how do I put it, of your change making platform. They will tell you how to go about, not like tell you, but guide you, mentor you, and a whole lot of that. And so I pointed that out for University of Glasgow. I pointed another one out for Dublin City University, and for the university I'm currently in. I pointed out a research institution, and the research institution is run by young people. Like, all the people is run by young people. And interestingly, that's where I'm doing my internship now. So I pointed out the place and I said that this institution, it does this, it does this. I'm working in the area of peace. This institution, I think it would be helpful, it would be beneficial to me in developing my research skills as it relates to this. I was really specific with what I wanted. I didn't just say random things. I was really specific with what I wanted. And yeah, that was how I talked about those ones. And those were the things dragging me to those different universities. And interestingly, I'm currently working with them now as an intern, that same organization. So another aspect, if you want to answer the three questions I already mentioned, you need to also um mention your experience, study experience. Like I've already said, maybe you did a project that was relevant, or maybe you did courses that were relevant and all that. For me, I did courses that were relevant, and also the thesis I did, the project I did as an undergraduate was in the area of conflict. It was in the area of conflict, but ethnic conflict. But then conflict is still under the area of security and order. So my undergraduate thesis was on the Nigerian Biafra conflict, which is a secession attempt that led to the Nigerian Civil War and all that. So I did that, and it's really interesting, and yeah, it relates to it. And I'm also doing something at the moment which relates to, is also in terms of civil wars and all that. So I showed that. And another thing too you need to show is you need to prove that you need to prove evidence of your skills, including research, critical thinking, organization, and all that, evidence of it. So like I stated earlier, I had to tell them, okay, CEO, during my undergraduate, I was president, I was vice president, and as a vice president I needed to organize an entire event then. So that's an organizational skills, management skill, because you have to manage people and all that. So I showed that, and a whole lot of some other things then you also need to what else? You if you've won maybe scholarships before, if you've written papers before, you can just make mention of it and all that. um Also highlight your career aspirations, like I already stated. And then finally, you have to show what makes you stand out as a candidate. I think I mentioned that earlier, where I had to say that my last paragraph was about why they should choose me out of all the people that qualified in this world. Why exactly should they choose me? So there are a lot of people that are qualified just like you, but out of these people in this entire world that are qualified just like you, or sometimes they might even be more qualified than you, why should they choose you instead of even those people that are more qualified, maybe academically or maybe in terms of experience? Why should they choose you instead of these other people? So this is where you need to bring yourself to play. You need to bring yourself to play. This is where you show your person, the mission you are. Okay, I don't want to sound spiritual. I think if I say mission, it sounds kind of spiritual, but what you're working towards as an individual, this is where you need to make that statement. It's that convincing statement. When you're closing, when they said your introduction and your conclusion most times determines the mark you will get. So this is where you need to make that punchline and say, see, in Nigeria, they speak pidgin. See, out of everybody, na me where you suppose choose. So out of everybody, choose me. This is where you make that statement as an individual. So this is where you need to give them that punchline, why you stand out as a person, why they should invest that money in you. So you've said all that things. So you've said it that you have this, you have this. So, but then all of you have it. So why should they invest in you instead of these other people? It's a competition. You're competing with a whole lot of people for this money, for this sponsorship and all that. So why? That's where you need to show your person, bring your person, and convince the person. It is there you need to make your final convince. Just yeah. So basically, I think that's it. And I was talking so much. I was talking so much.
Wow, that is quite the place, that we need to actually leave it at, because usually the a statement of purpose, there's a lot that can be said about it. And like you mentioned, as Africans, there's a way we speak, and that translates to how we actually write. And we forget that, hey, this piece of paper that you're writing is an introduction of yourself to someone who's never met you, asking them to fund you so much money, to pour into your life and give you all this money, give you a stipend, give you tuition fees, give you medical insurance, etc., out of so many other applicants. And especially if your program does not do interviews, then you need to write that personal statement in a very, very clear way, following the instructions and ensuring that you're not using phrases that have been overused, like you mentioned before, stepping stones. If someone wants to step on a stone, because that's the way we are taught.
Yeah.
But like, that is a very, very comprehensive way of looking at things. And I mean, anyone who is listening right now, you need to be taking the notes, because we are giving this information right on time. It's November, end of November. So you have December to sit down. If you have not yet started writing your personal statement, you have the whole month of December to write, rewrite, have someone read it, change things here and there, and ensure that you're writing the right thing, using tools such as Grammarly, using tools, sometimes you can even use some Word document tools that can help you, of course, get to know your word count, etc. These kind of things. Every single tool is out there. You have this information that you're listening to right now. So there's no reason as to why you cannot write a powerful personal statement and submit it. And, of course, ensure that you have a better stake.